Hi, I'm Annie, and we're going to be talking about depression today. Just briefly, I haven't written notes as I'm the kind of person who feels more comfortable just speaking freely about specifically these subjects because I have been through them. I have been through it myself, and I don't think it's good for me to hide in any shape, way, or form. Obviously, I am still a person, so there are aspects of me and things maybe interlinked with this subject that I will not wish to share. But I will share as much as I can, based on how comfortable I feel doing so. So today I just wanted to talk about depression, and I know many people have spoken about it, or you may see adverts or a lot of videos on YouTube about depression. But for me, myself, this is a release for me to talk about my experience with depression, because it was very severe and traumatic, and it wasn't a small amount of time which I suffered and fought this mental illness, I guess. I hate using that term. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. I would prefer to use an imbalance within my emotional body or system, because that's exactly what it is, you know. So, what is depression? Depression, from what I know, is a very low state of mood which lasts for a certain period of time. So depression can be like a short period of time where you feel very low, or it can be a very long period of time, or periods of time over time in which you feel low, in which you have very low moods. With depression, normally a person loses interest in what they want to do, in things that they used to like. They may even lose interest in themselves and taking care of themselves, i.e. grooming, based on the fact that they've just lost interest in the world as well. A depressed person will feel hopeless. They may feel as if there's no way of feeling better. And they will feel like this continuously over time. A depressed person will be withdrawn and may, step away from all the people that they used to enjoy being around. And it's not a very nice place to be at. I have experienced depression myself. And to be quite honest, I'm probably not free of depression. However, words are very important, so I'm just going to take that back. I'm great right now. So, how does depression affect you? Depression, first and foremost, affects your emotional body, your thoughts and feelings. And when those are affected, it affects the way in which you view the world, and how you interact with the world, Depression makes you feel, for myself, it made me feel worthless. It made me feel sad. It made me feel anxious. And yeah, it made me feel all those ways, and it made me feel as though I did not know what tomorrow held. I felt scared of the actual way that the depression would make me feel, which is basically intense sadness all the time. And which doesn't feel good, because if you felt sad before, you know that number one, there's a reason that you're sad, and number two, it just doesn't feel good. And with depression, for myself, I would say there was always a reason, because life is not easy. So life would always throw things at you that, become reasons because you're depressed. So, if you're already down and something else happens, or you're kicked when you're down, you'll feel even worse. So I would say for myself, I'm not sure. Well, I am, but I don't feel comfortable expressing myself or putting myself on an analytical block to be dissected. I just don't feel comfortable. That's something that I do privately for myself. But I feel as though I had depression from a very young age. At that age, I feel as though I, just accepted it as I just felt sad. There were things that would make me feel sad. And I just accepted it as sadness. But as I've grown and developed and learned about the mind and, and experienced the mind, I now know that I was feeling down from that age, and I was experiencing bouts of mild to moderate depression. When I was younger, I felt really down at times, and I done things that you might see in movies that many teenagers do. I ran away from home, and I guess I felt a bit unwanted in some ways, but I will stop there. That's the most I will share on this video about that. So I would say depression affected me from that age. And then growing up, I feel like I was in need of acceptance of some sort, of, I guess, that emotion called love, which at the time I didn't know. I just felt as though it was just normal, to want to have a boyfriend, and just normal. It is a normal instinct for any human to want to have a companion, whether that's a friend or someone close to you. And I guess I just didn't really have that. And I had my first child when I was young, and I'm quite a serious person. So from that age, I basically became a house person, where my child was not able to stay with anyone because I wouldn't want strangers looking after my child, and I don't have a big family, so I wouldn't have a lot of time to experience being young. I had her just before I turned 18. So this in itself, even though at the time I didn't realize it, was adding to my depression, or the nature of depression that I had. So I became quite isolated, because obviously the people my age, they were out living their life, their sweet life. And I guess it just started from there. And obviously, not knowing about myself, I've always been someone that's quite inquisitive, like I've said in another video, or like you may hear me say a lot. But I didn't study my mind, and I didn't know the right patterns or templates of, I can't explain it, I'm trying my best. At that time, I didn't know the right frame of mind that was suitable for my personality. All I knew is what I knew, which is what I learned from my surroundings. And I don't come from a highly affluential area. There are many great people around the area that do many great things, and not to say that people are just deadbeats around my area, but demographically speaking, I didn't get to see a lot of influential people who made it seem like being who I wanted to be was even possible. So I began to adapt the kind of nature in which I felt like I needed to fit in, which at the time felt like the right thing to do. But in hindsight, I now know that it was wrong. It was me neglecting myself and who I am and how I am supposed to resonate and identify with this world in favor of the template and what was given to me and what I've seen, which is wrong. So depression started creeping in from them, and I was living a lie, basically, because I felt as though my true nature, my soft nature, the side that the innocence, maybe it's still the child in me, had to hide. And it felt difficult because I enjoy being who I am, and I enjoy being authentic. I enjoy being lovely. I enjoy being sweet. But in this world, you have to protect that part of you. And at that time, that's not the mindset I had. I didn't have it in my mind to protect that side of me. I had it in my mind to hide that side of me, because where I'm from, to me, from what I've seen, those sides, those nice, goody two shoes personas, they're not desirable as people. So it seems quite primitive to speak of now. But I was young, and life is about developing, and I have been developing, baby. So depression was creeping up to the point where I hid my true authentic self in favor of a more glamorous persona, by way I was more outgoing. But with myself, my lies, some people may keep up with their lies, but I'm the type of person that there are laws and rules that I abide by. I'm quite spiritual, so everything that I do, I question. So, I question that inauthenticity of myself, because if it was someone else, I would say to them, or I would think to myself, why are they lying? So I questioned that, and I knew that I was lying. So I decided to come off social media, and decided to just go into myself. And at that point, I still was at high risk. So I went on to have further relationships that, taught me more about who I am and what I want and what I expect, especially from another individual, in which I am around, what I can tolerate and what I don't like in terms of personalities and how they operate. And I got into a relationship that really hurt me, and some may say he was a narcissist. Based on all the evidence, he was a narcissist, but I don't like labels. He was a personality whose template and aspects, are labeled narcissist, but that's him. He's a personality, and he really burnt me, not even hurt me. He burnt me, and we're not just talking about, sleeping with other people. I'm talking about mental abuse, borderline physical. I never tried to aggravate any situation whenever there was tension. So that relationship caused all of my feelings that I had been holding since a child, and all the thoughts that I thought about that were negative in terms of my personality and about myself. That experience with the ex that I went through brought everything tumbling down, and I was down for years, to the point where I let my personality go, and just gave up, because I myself didn't respect the person who I became, I had become, which was weak and feeble. So depression affected me. I went way off topic there, but hopefully there was something to be learned in what was said. But depression affected me by affecting my mind and how I think and how I feel about myself, which affected my self-confidence, which affected and affects everything that I do. It affects how I use my talents, whether I use them or not, because when I don't feel confident, I just don't feel like anything I have to offer the world is good enough. So that's how depression affects people. It can tear them down till they are no longer themselves, and they're no longer to use any, personality trait, or, they're just no longer able to be themselves. They're like a shell, and their inner is tormented, and they are just still forced to walk around with this shell, i.e. their body, pretending that they feel okay. So it's very horrible. So how to combat, or ways to combat depression. Life isn't a game, nor are people. So to say, you're going to combat depression, yes, I do feel like it can be gotten over. I do feel like people can get through it and live healthy, happy, peaceful lives with healthy, happy, peaceful minds. But it's not as simple as that. For myself, I don't really believe in medication for anything unless you really need it. I do believe that we're equipped with all that we need, and if we don't have it, the world is equipped with all the natural herbs and stuff that we may need to heal ourselves. There are many times, though, in which the NHS, and not only the NHS, just in general, medication helps people, stay alive and stay healthy. But in terms of combating depression, for me, it is a job that is hard, but glorious at the same time. It is hard because it may take time, and you don't just read a book and then your mental state changes. You don't just experience happiness for a week and then your mental state changes. It takes time, it takes dedication, and it takes application. So it takes, trying to monitor yourself to find out what triggers you to feel depressed, and trying to sort your life out in such a way that you keep away or minimize these triggers. Okay, how to combat depression. I feel like there's a lot of things that people can do to create gaps and distance between depressive episodes. Like, try to find ways in which to smile, even if it is for 10 minutes. It's still more than nothing. So, taking walks, meditation, listening to music. However, be mindful of the music that you listen to, because obviously music can be triggers, and are triggers for emotional responses. They entail words, they entail sounds that trigger thoughts and feelings within your emotional and physical body. Just saying. So, listening to music, if it doesn't feel like it's triggering you. However, I would suggest not doing that when you're severely depressed and thinking about things that specifically may be linked to the songs in which you listen to. So I will suggest also, treating yourself, because oftentimes when you're depressed, you don't feel like you deserve anything. You don't feel like you deserve love, and that's not the case. You do, especially from yourself. So it does create temporary happiness. Maybe, might make you smile for a few hours, but to me, happiness is what you pay yourself with. And if that can contribute to that, then I do recommend that. Not only that, a lot of times retail therapy is great for people who are depressed, because it helps them. It's 2 tasks for the price of 1. It's time away from thinking about the negative thoughts that you are thinking about, and it's also time getting something that may help in your appearance, because oftentimes when you're depressed, you feel down and you don't take care of your outer appearance, which then makes you feel even more worse. And sometimes it's nice to treat yourself and feel good while doing so, and look good while doing so too. So I recommend that. I also recommend, if you do have an open ear to talk to, I do recommend talking to people or someone who you can confide in about certain things. May not be everything, but certain things. Even if it's someone that you can tolerate, because I know that it's very difficult to be around people when you feel down. I myself, when I feel down, I don't want to be around anybody, because I don't wish to spread my negativity. And I just feel like I've been negative for so long in my life that I'm just fed up of being negative, especially around others. So I keep that to myself. But I do recommend, if you have people that you can hang out with and that can distance you from the thoughts that you're experiencing, if only for a while, you do have to still work on them, because they won't go away. They will continue to manifest when you're triggered. So, I'm not advising people to put up a block and not work on themselves. The main thing is to create a space where you can still feel like you're able to live, because the worst thing about depression is the fact that it can cause many... Sorry, my phone just rang and disturbed me, so hopefully I can get my flow back. Basically you have to still do the work in order to experience a healthy, happy and a holistic life, in which hopefully you'll have many years of. I do want to tell you the dangers of relying on others and things outside yourself to experience peace. You have to work on yourself so that you don't need others to get that peace, because those people, they can change, they can offend you, they can use what you say against you, and that can then cause more trauma and trigger you more, and cause your depression to be worse than what it is, with an extra layer of mistrust towards others. So I just want people to be mindful that you are accountable for how you feel. You are accountable for your self-confidence. And I do know that when you feel down, it feels as though you are helpless, and you feel like you deserve help. You feel like this is unacceptable, and no one should feel this way, and why can't anyone help you? And it just feels so saddening to be alone, and alone inside, even if you are surrounded with people outside physically. But you have to know that it's your job, and you need to be in control and learn to take control of your mind and your feelings and your thoughts, which often have a mind of themselves. So, you need to take control of the thoughts and stuff. So understanding that self-care is important. I briefly said some things in there in terms of self-care, but self-care for me looks like having patience and knowing that it's a journey that may take time. And even though others around you may be living life to the max, or making money, or doing things that you just feel it's impossible to do, just know that this is your journey. And if you work on yourself, then you will be able to do the same things and much more, because you will have more of an understanding of yourself, and therefore will not, hopefully, will not go through certain things knowingly, or even unknowingly in the future, to cause yourself discomfort and depression again. You learn many things from going through hardship. You learn how to interact with the world better, and also how to interact with the world in a way that benefits how you feel, and you learn that, life is an exchange in at all levels. And by learning your personality, you therefore know the exchange rate at which you will trade your personality in for. And what I mean by that is not how I said it. Sorry, I'm metaphorically speaking. I mean as though if you have a relationship, or you work somewhere where you feel as though you're not getting what you think you deserve based on your previous analysis of your personality and the talents you hold, and or the person that you are, or what you bring to the table, then you will no longer feel like you have to accept such deals or transference of energy if they do not bring the type of energy or peace to you that is acceptable, that you feel is acceptable. Hopefully that made sense. And the last thing I wanted to just briefly speak about is the fact that many people who have depression feel like they are alone, but mainly they become alone because of the fact that they feel like they're a burden. And just some advice for people someone who may know someone who is depressed. That is how we feel. So we will try, and a lot of the times if we decide we don't want to be around anymore, or we're just seem withdrawn, I would say and just advise people to not look at it as we just have just taken ourselves away and we're just acting funny, or we're just be in a certain way that's just that we don't like. Sorry, that didn't make sense, but you know what I mean. But rather you need to understand that this person is actually suffering and their energy is expended somewhere else, and nobody nor themselves can see that energy being expended from them, and they feel down, and they would rather keep that downness to themselves most of the time, or they just feel so down that they just can't bear to be around others. Sometimes being around others reminds them of how they feel a normal person's life's supposed to be, and they feel like they can't fulfill that role. Or you just, sometimes when you're in deep depression, you look around you and see people living life, and you wonder how they're doing that when you're finding it so hard to breathe. So just bear in mind that they're battling their own battle right now, and it would be helpful for understanding. There are times when people who are depressed need time alone, they need space. It's just that's what they need in order to feel like they can go on. But I would suggest just checking on your friend or family member or partner once in a while, and just letting them know that you care, and also that you may not understand what they're going through, but you're willing to listen, and you'll try not to judge, because it's very easy for people to judge on things that they find easy to do, which is unfair, because you're not that person. You don't know how their mind's operating, and the mind controls everything. Without the mind, a person can't do jack shit if their mind's done. Excuse my language, but life will be very difficult for someone whose mind is not working properly. And depression is a state of mind, an imbalance within the mind, where it's almost like your mind's attacking you. Your mind is supposed to work for you, not work against you. So depressed people need to go through a series of programs, within themselves, and training, i.e. learning about their personalities and stuff, so that they can better know how to take control of their mind and change the template that they've been using. It's because you get used to thinking how you're thinking. They're patterns that are formed in the mind, and you just unconsciously start doing it. Just like how you breathe, you unconsciously just start thinking certain things based on the template you've been used to using in terms of thoughts. So it will take a while to change those templates and to change the thoughts that the person has towards themselves. And that has to be authentically done, or it will be temporary. A person has to understand who they are, what they have to give, the talents they hold, and that they are uniquely them, and there's only one of them. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.